Hey everyone, and welcome to another tier list video. Today we are looking at level 9 cards for all of the base Gloomhaven characters, Jaws of the Lion characters, and the expansion character from Forgotten Circles. So there's going to be a lot of spoilers in this video, but we are going to go over all of the cards, 2 cards per character, and rank them on a tier list. Because there's quite a lot of spoilers, I will link down and chapter this video down below. So if you do want to jump to a section, or if you want to miss a section out because you don't want to actually go over those characters, I will put them down below so you can see. But essentially, we're going to do it in the order of starting characters from base Gloomhaven, then unlockable characters from base Gloomhaven, then we're going to do the expansion, then we're going to move on to Jaws of the Lion. So if you want to skip some elements of that, then hopefully that can, help you do that. This was originally a 5-hour stream, so it was quite a long one, and this has been cut down quite heavily just so that you guys can get a snapshot really of what the tier list looks like and some of the discussions that we had. There's also a link down in the description for the unedited version of the stream, so if you do want to see that, because I know from my last video a lot of people would like to actually see that, so I will link a unlisted video down in the description if you do want to watch the entire thing. However, I think I've done a pretty good job here of just sort of summarizing our thoughts on all of the cards. And also there's a link to the image if you would like to download the image of the tier list just to view it as a standalone image too. As with all tier lists though, guys, this is just meant as a bit of silly fun, so don't take it too seriously. You know, we are board gamers. We like to put things on lists. It's like in our blood. So just enjoy the list for what it is, and let me know in the comments below if there's some you think that we got terribly wrong. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. And of course, you know the drill. If you do enjoy it, please do consider tossing this video a like and subscribing. It really helps me out here on YouTube. I've got lots of Gloomhaven guides, Frosthaven guides already on my channel, with more to come in the coming weeks. So yeah, stay tuned and hit that notification bell if you don't want to miss one. And of course, if maybe you want to be involved in the next tier list making or just chat to me live, you can always catch me over at twitch.tv/managedrequest every Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday, where we're streaming Gloomhaven, talking Gloomhaven. So yeah, just come hang out and have a good time. Okay then, so let's just get into it. All of the level 9 cards tier list. Okay, blind destructions, we have the crack heart. So this is basically a bigger version of cards that we already had, right? We've got like a bigger version of Rumbling Advance on the bottom, and you've got a bigger version of Massive Boulder essentially on the top. Chef's Kiss, right? This is a really great effect. It's a really nice card. It evolves the character's mechanics as well. So from like a theme point of view, we're going to take this as more of a power level. We're going to come from more of a power level aspect, but I guess you get style points. And this is definitely high on the style points, right? Very high on the style points. S tier, you guys are saying? From my perspective, in order for a card to be S tier, it needs to be broken. Completely broken. Now, this can be incredibly strong, but it has a couple of drawbacks, right? That kind of just hold it back from quite being S tier. This sometimes can just be an attack 4, range 4. Like, we're not talking some of the other cards, which we'll get to. We're not talking about that level of power. It is good, but it requires positioning. Therefore, it's not inherently broken because you can't just play this card and win. And to be honest, this is probably like what level 9 power level should probably look like in the future. I think this is a very fair and awesome level 9. Powerful, but kind of fair with a few like downsides, right? So I think this is a very good A. First A card. Blind Destruction. Pulverize. That's a double burn level 9, chat. I'll be considering how it compares to the other cards of the class or trying to write it separately. Separately, I think nonsensical. Because there'll be some classes that might have like, 2 A tiers, for example. As a level 9 card, this is pretty underwhelming. The top requires like some crazy amount of setup where you have to have lots of obstacles. And even then, it's not that good, right? Even then, it's like, oh, I can maybe do 5 damage. Double burn is hard to like. I definitely agree. The double burn makes it really hard. It's just not a very great top. Now, the bottom, I think, is probably slightly better because you can just use it and it's probably going to be fine. But I think, generally speaking, this is pretty underwhelming as a level 9. I actually feel like it probably sits somewhere down here. Seems like a D card. Okay, I'm glad we're all on this. Okay, good. We're all on the same page for this one so far. Spellweaver. Black Hole. The other card. The other card. It's potentially a kill. It's a burn, but it's potentially a kill, right? It could potentially kill 3 things. Any other character, this would be very bad value, but because it's a Spellweaver, potentially you could play it twice. is worth considering. We should consider the character's mechanics a little bit. Not bad for the bottom action. See, I've never seen the bottom action work very well, Nonsensical. We mostly have random dungeons in Guildmaster, right? Random kind of setups in dungeons. However, in the campaign, you have very purposeful setups. So repositioning enemies could actually be quite a bit stronger in the campaign. It's probably in a similar kind of tier to D, right? They're both pretty similar in the fact that they're just big attacks, right? They're both just big attacks. But you're right, this requires a lot more setup than this. And this at least has a reusable half. Okay, let's go C. Let's go C. I think C's fine for now. We can always come back to these if we want to. Inferno. 19 initiative, can target basically an infinite amount of enemies, almost. So just an entire room for 4. It's also a melee attack, which has some weird synergy. Like this, obviously this character has not... has mainly had ranged attacks up to this point. But now we suddenly have this attack that works with Warhammer. So this is probably one of the easiest cards, I think, for us to evaluate. Really, it's probably one of the best level 9s in the game. Reusable, low initiative, attacks everything. I mean, what more could you want from a card, right? Everyone knew that one was going to be S tier. Chimeric formula. So... one adjacent ally may recover up to 2 of their lost cards and then lose 2 cards. You can get 2 burns back and then get rid of 2 other cards. There are some situations this could be quite good. It does help a character combo off. There's a lot of combo potential, right? Great teamwork card. Yeah, definitely. Very situational, but with certain characters busted, like just being able to play certain burns twice could be incredibly strong. Just win you the scenario on the spot almost. Need the right cards in the right setup. Inferno is busted on any class. That is true. If any character had Inferno, I mean, aside from maybe the Brute with their poor deck, their poor attack modifier deck, then that would be pretty rough. You need to have a decent attack modifier deck, I would say, to really make it like sing. The bottom, I think, is really like where more of the fun is. Giving the Mind's Weakness to the Spellweaver to then just use Inferno. However, again, it's a card that needs other cards to be good. It's not good on its own. Controversial hot take here. I'm leaning towards a D or an E here. Like, it does break the game in certain ways, but you have to have the right characters. Situationally can be much better than Pulverize and Black Hole. I mean, it's true. That is true. What ranking would the Gloomhaven digital version be? I mean, it would be a lot lower. I mean, if it was Gloomhaven digital, I would probably put it E. We'll go B tier. I'm not hugely happy with that, though. But I guess it can be broken. Therefore, it has the potential to be S. B tier, B or C. C seems fine. We can move it later. Yeah, let's leave it in B for now, because also that makes me feel nice, because there's a card in each now. Lethal Injection. So you have kill one adjacent normal or elite enemy. The bottom is move 4, poison, target all adjacent enemies. That's a pretty decent bottom. And the top is just to get rid of a dude. And you've got 12 card hand. So this character can easily support just burning a card to get rid of an enemy. Like, go away. It's really nothing special. I think it's got to be below Chimeric Formula. Hands up anybody who played Tinker and actually chose Lethal Injection. Did anyone or did everyone go Chimeric Formula? Like, what's the general crowd consensus? What are people's thoughts? You can never get to level 9 with Tinkerer. I suppose that's the thing. Nobody levels this character. No one's ever tried. It's probably C tier, right? Because if you think that Black Hole is C tier too, in fact, the bottom is probably better than the bottom on Black Hole. Probably. In fact, definitely. So I think C tier is fine. So watch it burn. Add poison and wound to all your attacks. This is Scoundrel, by the way. The bottom is move 5, wound, target all adjacent enemies. Incredibly solid. The bottom is pretty insane. The 98 initiative, though, is, again, it's one of those things where, yeah, you can go kind of late. And this character does like to kind of go late, then early, early, then late. Like, it's a good last, but tough for 9-card class. Move is real good. Yes, that's a very good point. I think the fact that this character only has 9 cards in their hand does really affect your ability to play a persistent. With the ranged build, this is excellent, but you always take the other one. Still think it's a nice card. I agree. Like I said, we're ranking these on their power level, not necessarily against the other card that they have. So Just because one card is a slam dunk doesn't necessarily mean that we should write off the other card entirely. If we're putting move 4 poison, I mean, move 5 wound is better than this, but this is just a kill, which is quite nice. This is a thing and you have to like set it up. This requires quite a lot of investment. I think it's around C tier. It's better than this, but this is maybe not better than this or this. I mean, they're pretty similar, I would say. Generally speaking, having a active ability on as a level 9, I think is just a bit awkward as well, right? It's just a little bit awkward. Unless it does something like super, super crazy good, it just feels a little bit awkward to have like an active ability at level 9. Hey, we've now made all of your other cards slightly better. It's like, okay. Like I was probably surviving okay up to that point, up to this point, without this. On to another big one, chat. Long con. S, nothing to say here. I agree. The top of this card is just insane. Every enemy miss a turn, and you do a load of damage to them in the process. You will always get to go first. You'll always get yourself into a nice position. Enemies then just generally don't do anything, and you get to do some damage as well. It's just stupid. Better than Inferno? I think it probably is. Problem with Inferno is that if you're like facing down a room versus golems, right? Then Inferno is like a little bit awkward. Whereas Long Con is always good. It's like, just jump in, just disarm them. Okay. I guess the only problem with Long Con is that maybe against retaliate enemies, it's a bit rough. But the fact that you get to do damage and control at the same time, I think it's probably better than Inferno. They're close though. Because in certain scenarios, I think I would prefer Inferno, but in others, I would prefer this. I mean, it's not obviously not always going to be every enemy, but a lot of enemies that matter. The bottom is force one adjacent normal or elite enemy to perform its turn this round as if its allies were enemies and its enemies were allies, with you controlling the action. Selecting this, place one of your character tokens on the enemy for this round. You're never, ever doing this. Unless, I guess, it's right at the end of a scenario for some bizarre reason that it would make more sense to play it for the bottom than the top. These two are pretty close, like I said. I think I would probably prefer Long Con a little bit more than Inferno sometimes. King of the Hill. So the Brute. Attack 6, target all adjacent enemies, push 1, gain 1 XP for each enemy targeted. Feels like that's missing the word disarm, isn't it, chat? So an extra 2 damage and a push minus disarm equals burn? Okay. The bottom heal 5 self? Yeah, I mean, heal 5 is okay. Yeah, it's usable, right? It's okay. I still feel like it's a little bit weird, like why they couldn't have just made it like if they made it heal 5 strengthen, that now we're talking, right? This should have innate strength on it. Then we're looking at a card. If this was heal 5 strengthen self, the thing is as well as the Brute has a lot of like move attack top, so that would have been pretty cool, but denied. Good thing it has 2 pips for enhancing. Oh yeah, just for the full troll. It wouldn't be much fun if you had the starting class to begin with and it was the best class in the game. And then there's no reason to change characters then, right? Like, why would I change a character? I've just started. My character's amazing. Why would I switch? I'm winning every scenario easily. Got the best cards. So there is a bit of a power creep with the unlockables, but that's kind of intentional. I think that's actually good because then encourages players to explore the characters rather than maybe just going, hey, do you know what? I'll just play this. But I think in particular, like the Brute was one of the characters that was hard done by, and the Tinkerer as well. Is it F tier? Is it E tier? Technically, this could be better than the top of Pulverize. Pulverize needs to be dropped down, I think. I think Pulverize actually needs to come down into E tier. At least this is usable, and pretty much every character could use this. Like, the Brute has a good health pool, and so obviously and tanks a lot. So this is good for them anyway. And maybe Black Hole drops to D. Yeah, I guess we're rating these effects pretty similarly. I think that's better. Face Your End. I mean, not a level 9 effect, I would say, but a usable attack. Again, this character gets a bit of a raw deal because they have a poor attack modifier deck, and these attack 2s just feel a bit yikes. Terrible initiative as well, 67. I know, they could have made it 69 for the full nice, but they didn't. It's never good to have a low value attack like that. The range is nice. Target 3. The pull is kind of nice. So if you were to retroactively apply the new Frosthaven pool rules, I actually think the pull is actually a bit better now. Pull used to be like just the much worse version of push. You always wanted push. Pull's always difficult because you need to position an enemy, a trap between you and the enemy. That's more difficult than just walking up behind them and pushing them into a trap. Seems like a level 3, level 4 card. I think it's for a level 9, it's weak. The bottom is kill one adjacent normal or elite enemy and it's a burn. Now that's awkward as well because it's on the bottom, which means you have to, be next to the enemy to begin your turn. You do have a lot of moves and attacks on the top though. So in theory, you could do like a move and an attack on the top. Then you could do this as your bottom action. I do usually end up taking this card though. Like at level 9, when I play my Brute, I do usually end up taking this card instead of King of the Hill. Probably got to be up here with these guys, isn't it? Yikes to be the Brute right now. A C and a D is your level 9s. You would move D and E down. Oh, you think move everything down one? Is Pulverize going into F then? We found the bottom? We found the bottom of the barrel? How does that look? I mean, I do think that this is slightly better than King of the Hill. Black Hole you can play twice though. That's the thing. I feel like Black Hole might be being a bit of a raw deal here. I think we can make a good argument for this as it is. Like, these are obviously quite good bottoms. They're not flashy. They're not something that obviously you're like super excited about. Like, oh yeah, I'm level 9. I get this. It's not, but it's not bad by any means. Mind Thief. Phantasmal Killer. How do I feel about this one? The problem with Phantasmal Killer is that the Mind's Weakness exists. It's a decent card in a vacuum. You always want to take it, but you also don't want to replace Mind's Weakness. Exactly. You use the bomb a lot. Yeah, I mean, invisibility is very good. And this is invisibility on a stick with move and loot. I feel like the loot is a little bit redundant at this point, right? At level 9, the loot feels a little bit redundant. Maybe you're donating to the temple and stuff. So, I mean, you still have uses for money, right? And enhancing cards. But at level 9, it feels like you're probably going to run a few more scenarios, maybe a handful more, and then you're probably going to retire fairly soon. I guess if you're running the double augment build, you could run this and the Mind's Weakness. Although I've never found that the double augment build is very good. A/B. I don't think it's as good as A. I think it's B. I mean, you can kill multiple things with this, which is nice. The invisible as well is like super clutch to just be able to hide. Open doors and things. Yeah, I think it's slightly better. C? I think it's C sulfurs. I think I'm in with B. I think I rate invisible. With the rules changes to invisible, maybe not so much. I think that's a pretty decent nerf to invisible. But with rules, the standard 2nd edition Gloomhaven rules, with invisible, I think it's good. I think Sultan put it well. There's two very usable halves of a card here. Neither of them are like crazy broken good, but they are both very, very useful, and you're never really sad. You're never sad to play it. Rat King, everybody. Rat King breaking the double burn rule. Ooh, controversial. All double burns are bad. Changed my mind. Rat King appears. So Rat King is like probably one of the... Well, is it the most? It probably is the most unique summon. In terms of mechanics. Got the most... probably one of the most interesting mechanics, I would say, as a summon. I think the 2 move is pretty underwhelming, though, chat. It's got that 2 move. It really needs to be a move 3. But this is like a fan favorite type card. Like, everybody loves the Rat King. Like, who doesn't like the Rat King? I think the move 2 is a significant downside in certain scenario types. It's not a summon that you can just play out and be like, we're done. Like, it's going to be here. It's going to do its thing. You have to sort of babysit it a little bit, right? You have to heal it to keep its attack good. You have to maybe move it yourself a few times, or if you've got an ally who can move it. Mind Thief initiative means King does get targeted a lot too. That's very true. Very early initiatives means that the Rat King could be in danger. The lower is all allies within range 2 add plus X attack to all their attacks this round, where X is the number of your allies within range 2 of you. I think I might have played the bottom once. Like, in order to make this really, really good, you would need to have, what, 2 or 3 allies minimum? I would say. If this was a +3 to your attack, that's pretty good. It definitely has like broken combo potential, especially if you're playing solo. Requires a lot of setup, and when you kind of look at it in that way and you say, well, hang on, we could just burn power potions to get the same kind of effect. Honestly, you think it's E even though you love it. Rat King this is going to be one of the hardest ones to do tonight, I think. What's really annoying to me about this is why doesn't this allow the Mind Thief to use it, right? It just says all allies within range 2. Why can't the Mind Thief have the buff? If the Mind Thief had the buff, this would be really cool. And as it's a burn, it can't be abused too much, I guess, unless you were to Chimeric Formula it or something like that. I think I'm about a D for it. Feel like it's D because these guys are slightly better because you can actually just keep reusing these, right? Keep reusing these, getting great value out of them. This is like you're saving up for that wombo combo. The Rat King is not a bad summon by any means to play out though. Like, and I think most people will probably do that. Like if you just have the Rat King like around for most of a scenario, it's going to do work for you. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the unlockable classes. So if you are scared about spoilers, we will be going through them all. Then we're going to be going through Forgotten Circles. Then we'll be going through Jaws of the Lion. So attack 4, target all adjacent enemies. Consume dark to kill all normal targets instead. This is pretty nice, I think, as like a burn effect. Like just if you needed to finish a scenario very, very quickly. Obviously not the most efficient way to deal with enemies with this character. You don't really want to be burning. You could just go invisible and just do it over a length of time. So it's kind of inefficient from this character's perspective, but it does speed the scenario up. But what makes this like pretty damn good though is the bottom, I think. The bottom, just being able to move 5 jump and then kill one normal enemy. Just the move 5 jump as well solves a lot of issues with this character. Your movement sucks. You do progressively start getting better and better movement cards though. Solid A, maybe low S. S, your bias towards this, you put a dark element on the bottom move for cheap 300 gold to help pour Eclipse out with more power. Because that's what they needed, Rob, right? Needed more power. Very, very efficient. The bottom are doing what it does. Helps the character out a lot. And you have a burn on the top that you probably don't want to play. But maybe if you're in that type of scenario where your allies are exhausting or you need to kill so many enemies very quickly, I think it could be quite good. Use the move 5 even without the kill quite a bit. Yeah, I can see that for sure. Yeah, I don't think this is quite S tier just because of what the character can do themselves. I also feel like S tier should be reserved for like bonkers broken, you know, just blow everything up very, very easily or just buy you so much time. So I don't think it's quite there, but I think it's a pretty solid A tier, isn't it? So the other card is Voice of the Night, which is on your next 5 attacks while invisible, add stun to the attack. Stun's obviously pretty good. The problem is this character's very linear, right? So they have one way they like to play. The invisible build is okay, but ultimately a lot worse than the execute build. So unfortunately, Voice of the Night doesn't really kind of work very well. Shroud is the character you're least interested in playing just because of all the executes. Yeah, I mean, it does make the character very linear on what they do. It's basically, can you execute something? Yes, execute them. No, create your element, go invisible, execute something the next turn. I did enjoy playing it for a period of time because it feels very nice to have a set combo. Your character feels very concise. It is what you're doing. It's like playing an engine building game where your engine is just like completely optimized, right? And as you level up, you get more and more optimized at that job. So it's like you're playing like it's like you're playing like an engine building game in another board game, and you're just getting more and you're getting better and better and better at doing one thing. But if you were to start playing at like level 7, I think you wouldn't appreciate how easy it is at level 7 versus how hard it can be at low levels. So the bottom of this is move 2, attack 2, then consume any element to go invisible. So it works quite nicely. I think that this is pretty solid. If you had access to this, I think this is pretty decent. Pretty decent. The top, though, having to be invisible means that it's only going to work with certain characters, right? Other characters will just not be able to use this. So adding stun is nice, though. And 5 stuns can be pretty useful. I think this is better than some of the other ones we've seen. Like being able to stun potentially 5 things, also just being able to move 2, attack 2 on 6 initiative and go invisible is good. For the same reason why we put Phantasmal Killer up here, I think it's slightly worse than Phantasmal Killer because this is just free. No, like, setup, right? This has got the setup. This doesn't have the setup. So I think that makes it maybe slightly worse than Phantasmal Killer. Interplanar Mastery. I'm going to struggle with this one, chat. It gives us an extra card, right? We're burning a card, we're getting 2 back. And the 2 cards that we get back could be more valuable, obviously, than this card. Well, there definitely will be. If you've seen any of my guides, I don't like lazy cards. And this, to me, is a lazy card. This is a card that's like, oh, like, things didn't go your way. Oh, sucks, buddy. Here, have another go. You know, hey, try again. Better luck next time, you know? That's what it feels like to me, and I don't like it. Either go all in Reviving Ether and what's the other one? Unending Dominance. Go for those 2. They're fine. And also, that's the other problem. You have Unending Dominance, which is strictly better than this in every way. Move 6 jump is quite nice, you suppose. Yeah, but this character doesn't really... This character spends all of their time commanding their summons around. Do they really need move 6 jump all the time? Is that really that good? It just feels like it's been phoned in. I'm sorry, but it does. It feels phoned in to me, this card. The problem with this is it doesn't do anything for either of the 2 builds. I guess if you're playing the melee damage summonless, having a move 6 jump is useful to have, but it's boring. Like, why not make the top of this card some cool attack? This, to me, I'm sorry, but this is F tier. I would rather have a card that I could maybe just do some crazy attack with, do a load of damage and help kill a few, than have like this. I don't know why, but I particularly dislike this card. I have it out for this card a little bit. So that might be a little bit of my personal preference. Move 6 jump is good, though. Like, it is... I can't say it's not good because it is good. But 22 initiative, not bad either. But I just have it out for this card because I just feel like it's such a wasted opportunity of a card. It just upsets me that there's a card that exists at level 9 for a character that does nothing. That upsets me. Yeah, but this card's awesome. The 4 move means that it's always going to be keeping up, going to be relevant. The 6 health is a little bit dodgy, though, on a melee summon, right? There's a chance that this guy could die. You have to be a bit careful with the unicorn. But the 4 attack and the pierce 3 means that it can actually just do a huge amount of damage. Like, if you can keep this thing alive, this thing is, like, really good. And also, the secret power level of this card is not even the top, right, chat? The bottom of this card. All summoned allies within range 3 perform attack +0 with you controlling the actions. If you position yourself well with this bottom as well, this is insane amounts of damage that you can pump out with the bottom of this. Insane amounts. With Beast Tyrant, yeah. Beast Tyrant is insane with this as well. Sometimes I actually struggle to play the top because the bottom is so good. For boss fights, this is S tier. I agree. You can just surround somebody and just wail on them with this. I really like it. I think it's a really... This is like what a level 9 card to me should be, right? It's like the top end of a build. You get a really cool summon that's just like really high on the power level, really good. And then you get a bottom action, which just works with all of the summons that you already have. Like, it's just a really good build ending card, I think. It's definitely not S. Oh, it's almost halfway in between. I'm between A and B here. I think it's probably A. I think it's better than Chimeric Former and Phantasmal Killer. I think it's probably A. The Maw of Madness. Attack 3, target all adjacent enemies. Model, perform a heal 2 self-action for each enemy damaged. 10 initiative. You may suffer up to 5 damage to an attack 3 plus X, range 3 immobilize, where X is the amount of damage you suffered. I mean, the top is obviously very good. The thing with the top here is you can heal so much with this top. Like, you really can. Is it broken levels? No, because I don't think it kind of kills enemies, potentially. I think you've actually kind of got better cards for that earlier on, right? Flurry of Axes, and then there's the one where you can consume fire to do range 2, like a melee attack targeting everything within range 2. That one, I think, is arguably maybe a stronger effect, but this heal is massive for this character. 10 initiative too is very good. This is probably on the top end, I think. This is probably like here. This is the power level so far. The fact that this cuts through shield, But this really helps this character out. I'm pretty happy with that though. I think A is where we should be for that card. Immortality. How do we feel about damage mitigation, chat? Which is what this basically is. Garbage. Not good. I tend to agree. Yeah. For a couple of reasons, right? First one being wound wrecks it. Wound absolutely wrecks that. You just go next source of damage. Oh, I'm wounded. Crag Heart as well. I play a lot of Crag Heart. So obviously this card does not play nice with the Crag Heart either. Immortality doesn't really affect the board. You're just delaying. And delaying is usually not in the player's favor because enemies don't have stamina. Players have stamina. So players can exhaust through lack of cards, right? Enemies do not. Enemies can go forever. So in a fight where you just want to go for as long as possible, enemy will always win that fight. Blood Pact is your best card, but you can't play with this, and so it's useless. That's very true. Very, very true. And I love Blood Pact, so I'm a Blood Pact all-in kind of player. Is this F tier? You think E? Because of the move 2 shield on the bottom? Yeah, actually, it's kind of more in line with these. Like, all 3 of these cards have got bottom actions, which are okay. I think F, there's got to be a special reason to put it in F. And the double burn on Pulverize is one thing. Definitely. And Interplanar Mastery being a do nothing, just insult to me is enough to put that in F, I think. Music notes. Music notes. Here we go. Captivating performance. All allies add +1 to all their attacks. Gain 1 XP at the beginning of each of your turns. When another song is played, discard this card. 25 initiative. The bottom is stun, range 3, target 3, 1 XP. Feels like an E, doesn't deal any damage. True. Doesn't even have a move on it. I mean, how bad's that? A bottom action that isn't a move? How rude. No, this is as good as Long Con. And also, this is just so good. Even with any party comp really can make use of this. This card, along with Long Con, just make the game easy. They basically just say, do what you want. Just play this card. Done. Easy game. It's a pretty easy S tier. Works with every party. Makes the game easy. Far too strong as well. Like, for example, if you have a look at some of these cards that we have in the A tier, I could see a world in Frosthaven where Blind Destruction could exist in Frosthaven. More of Madness, maybe tuned down a little bit. Both these cards tuned down a little bit. I can see a world where these exist. These 3 cards will never exist at this power level in Frosthaven. Shadow Puppets. A move 4 jump. Force all enemies moved through to perform an attack 3 action, targeting another enemy with you controlling the actions. And the bottom is 2 allies within range 3 may perform an attack 4. Now, I generally use it for the top most of the time. This does have some anti-synergy, though, with the cursing. So if you're going cursing, this really doesn't help you out because they're just going to start drawing curses and do nothing. This is solid but not broken. Agreed. It's fun. Yes. I like it. I think it's fun. The bottom, I think, is... it's just okay. The bottom's just fine. But the top is where the fun is. It's anti-synergy with some of the stuff that the character itself does. I think this is probably like a B, right? I'm actually now feeling like Chimeric Formula is too high. I really want to move Chimeric Formula down, actually. I think Phantasmal Killer can probably live in this space. But I'm not sure Chimeric Formula really lives amongst these 2 cards. What do you think, chat? I think we're going to move Formula down to C. And I feel like this is where I'm at. You can definitely make a case for Shadow Puppets being better because of the fact that you have a lot of bottom actions. So sometimes you just want to move into a nice spot. Sunkeeper. Angelic Ascension. On your next 4 attack actions, add +3 attack, wound, and gain advantage. Now that's pretty strong. Very useful bottom card for if you're playing more, if you're playing defensive stance, more kind of tactically. In the 87 initiative, I suppose, is a bit bad, but can't complain with the move 6 jump. So I like this. It's not like super broken by any means, but it's just a good card. I would say probably like A or B tier. Feel like it's around there. You reckon C? Really? No. I mean, it's much better than Voice of the Night, like top. Really is. You're all single target though, so you don't really have any way of really breaking this. It's just very fair. In my opinion, this is a very fair level 9. If it had some kind of really good repeatable damage more, this is a huge amount of damage, but you have to play it at the right time, right? And then when it's gone, it's gone. So whereas, you know, Horn Majesty, you can just keep playing the bottom. And you can potentially get this back if you wanted to with Unending Dominance. And Ancient of Death is just kill something every single round. And More of Madness is a big AoE. And Blind Destruction is a big AoE. So this could end up being more damage than this. And you can repeat it. So I think therefore this has to sit in B, really. This is a spicy one, though. Divine Intervention. Because this is a hard one to evaluate. When any ally suffers damage, you may suffer that damage reduced by 1 instead. You also love this card. I really like it. The fun part of this card is it makes your party immune to wound. Nice for protecting summons too. Yeah, really good. This allows you to be that tank regardless of what happens, which is really good. Sometimes you do fall into the trap of just going all in with it and your Sunkeeper gets destroyed. People would think that maybe they can use items in conjunction with this. You cannot. No synergy with your shielding cards. Very true. But it does allow you to play with a lot of freedom. You think B? Everyone seems to be about B. I think that's right, because my initial impression of this is that it's like amazingly broken. But then the more and more I've played with it, it's actually fairly well balanced, I think. Like it works pretty well. And I think as a tanking card, it's an interesting one and actually pretty cool. So I like it. I think it's a fun card. I think it's an interesting card. But certainly it doesn't just turn you into mega super tank and then you just like, yeah, you know, it doesn't break the game in the sense that now your Sunkeeper is in, you know, your team is invincible, S tier. Like it doesn't do that at all. Sawbones. Prep for surgery. All of your attack and move abilities may be performed as heal abilities of an equal value +1. Play this with Sunkeeper's card. You actually have a tank that takes all party damage. True. You could absolutely combo this really well with that character. What do we think, chat, for the top? I'm not sold on it. 22 initiative is good, though. And the bottom is move 3, stun. Target 1 adjacent enemy. Now, that's obviously good. Like, especially for this character who's generally on the front lines. One of the reasons why I quite like this character, because it allows you to play that kind of support, but also kind of melee character. And I quite like that combination, rather than, you know, being a support that is always traditionally at the back. I like what this character does. It's not like a multi-target though, so it's not S tier by any means. Not S tier, because that's all like multi-target stuff. You rate it as one very good bottom action, same as Phantasmal Killer. Well, the thing is with Phantasmal Killer though, it has a usable top and bottom. Like all of the cards in this tier so far have kind of a usable top and bottom. Whereas I feel like the top of this is, I mean, it's not unusable, but it's like, why would you ever use it? And the bottom is maybe not good enough to really, you know, put it in the mix with these. Too much heal, not needed. Yeah, I think I'm on C. I think I'm on C with this. I mean, it's definitely better than Chimeric Formula. Chimeric Formula is hanging on in the C tier here. It really is. I mean, the more I look at Chimeric Formula, the more I feel like I need to keep moving it down. Second card is Grisly Trauma. Kill all normal or elite enemies in the targeted area suffering from 10 or more damage. This is pretty interesting too. The suffering from 10 damage is interesting. They just basically have to be missing 10 health. So if you think at level 9 you might be against like elite Savasses, they start with like 29, 30 health. They start with like high 20s, 30s health. Harrowers, high 20s, high 30s health. Stone Golems, Earth Demons. There's a lot of things that this can kill. I guess the problem with it though is it really does nothing unless you can kill something. It's also kind of bad against high shield enemies with low health, right? Because they might only have 10 health. So therefore it doesn't really do anything. 81 initiative, move 2, poison, wound, and muddle target all adjacent enemies. That's combining the other cards that we've put into the other tier, right? Pair it with euthanize. Oh yeah, true, right? You just do this and then you euthanize. That's really strong. A. Yeah. Maybe it is A. Top of B. I don't know. I think it's better than Phantasmal Killer because it could kill elites. That's a big deal. And the bottom works really well with euthanize. Only half is really consistently playable and only if paired with a specific another card. That's a fair comment. Maybe it is top of B then. It does only work with Euthanize, right? Which is incredibly strong. But it is a 2-card combo with that class. Sometimes this top will do nothing. Loot 3 S tier. I mean, this is level 9 though. Like, how much gold do you really need?
No, that's a lot of damage.
It's a lot of loot, Phil. So, like a loot 3, it's basically the whole room. Maybe one of the big square ones like this. It's the whole room. Is at level 9, what are you gaining loot for? Well, you're gaining loot because you want to either donate to the temple, which is a noble thing to do and a good thing to do if you want to increase your prosperity, which is good. But the only other thing you're doing is you're kind of cheesing the game a little bit by, doing loads of enhancements, which I'm not a huge fan of. The whole get a load of loot, enhance the hell out of my character, sell everything, then maybe start the character again. I'm not a fan of that gameplay loop. It might be okay with a boss battle, spend all your items, get them back to attack the boss. Yeah, the thing is that this card does nothing on its own, but your character specifically really wants items. So you're probably playing the Quartermaster pretty bad if you don't have good items at this point. Bottom is a little dependent on prosperity. Yeah, for sure. Because you need to have those good items unlocked. Your characters need to have them. But the fact you can't pass gold between each other, have shared gold, really makes this like one character getting very, very rich, which also with one character getting very, very rich means that the other characters are not getting rich because you're taking the loot out of the table, right? You're taking it off the table before your allies get it, which means you end up with one character with loads and loads of gold and then loads of poor characters who won't have any decent items to refresh. So it's a very weird card to me for level 9. And also this character's been doing much more broken things than this up to this point, I would argue. Multiple plays of any of the rings, any of the earrings, stamina potions, even just if every character got back a major stamina potion from this, that's huge value. That's still really good value. But it's just like you've already been doing broken things up to this point, and it just feels like just another broken thing to just chuck on the pile, If we're going to rate Chimeric Formula a C, we should also rate Bag of Holding a C, because they're both very situational. Like, if you have X, this is great, but if you don't have X, this is bad. Scroll of Annihilation. Kill one adjacent norm nor elite enemy. Well, we've had one of those already. So Tinkerer says hello. The bottom is move 3, disarm, target all adjacent enemies. So this card, the top is pretty average, I would say. But the bottom, that bottom. C? Come on. We can't put long con S tier and put Scroll of Annihilation. It essentially does the same thing. Granted, it hasn't got as good initiative. Granted, it's on the bottom and it's not an attack, but gotta go A? I think so. Plus the fact that this character has so many stamina potions, so many ways to just reoccur cards, they could just basically disarm characters forever. So on to triangles. Summon Mana Spear, 3 health, attack 2, create any element of your choice, move 3, range 3. Good range, element right before your turn. Yeah, that's important. The fact that this goes before you creates an element of your choice, so you can sort of make the best out of your turn. It definitely makes your life a lot easier. You're making the elements you want already. Phantom's like the resident triangles like player, expert in the house. In terms of like damage output, having an attack 2, range 3 summon is pretty decent. Like, this thing's going to chip away. The problem that you have a little bit with your character, right, is that attack modifier deck. The Elementalist has a very, very flat attack modifier deck. Very good at flipping more elements, but not very good at getting, +1s, +2s. Like, your attack, generally speaking, ends up being your attack. Not a character that cares about advantage very much. Not a character that really benefits from that. They just want to flip more and more elements. Kind of take away the kill of balancing your elements and preparing for the next turn. True. It's like playing Shaping the Ether bottom. I'm not a fan of it because it feels lazy. Like, again, I don't like lazy cards. It's a lazy card in my opinion. It's good for the healing build though, because you can, you don't actually get to do as many attacks and it's maybe a bit more difficult and you don't care about the attacks. But it feels a little bit like that. To perform any of the following abilities: attack 3, range 3, consume fire, ice consume, loot 1, wind consume, move 3, earth consume, heal 3, range 3. Yes, you can do those in any orders of your choice. It is quite nice, but ultimately, none of the actions are very good. It's pretty underwhelming. You think putting in C? I mean, is it better than Rat King? The move 3 doesn't even have jump. I'm happy with that. But I think if we were to rejig this card to make it stronger, change this loot to a stun, change this to a target 2 instead of a heal. Perfect. So Eternal Equilibrium. Attack 2, target all enemies within range 3. Consume Dark to +1 attack with Curse. Consume Light for additional +1 attack and Muddle. So this could be potentially an attack 4, all enemies within range 3 with Curse and Muddle. And it's not hard to have these two elements, really, is it, chat? Not hard. How this is different than Inferno is obviously Inferno's got better range potential, but Inferno has the drawback of damaging your allies. Makes it a bit hard to spam it. You can't spam Inferno all the time. Eternal Equilibrium is like one of the most spammable cards in the game. You just spam this card forever. Like, you just don't, like, spam it, curse them all, attack them. Like, it's so easy. Let's say you put 5 or 6 curses into the enemy deck. You attack 5 things, but 5 or 6 curses and Muddle. There's a good chance that they could draw them immediately. 27 initiative is great. This is A. I'm leaning towards S tier. This is, for me, the combination of just a big attack and a big curse is huge. It's really, really big. You've probably got Formless Power up as well. So this is going to be like an attack 5. Like, it's nuts. The bottom, well, do we need to read the bottom actually? Heal 4, range 4, retaliate 2, shield 2. Whatever. Does it break the game? I think so. I think it does break the game. On to the Doomstalker. So Predator and Prey. Summon Spitting Cobra. This is a 5 health summon with attack 3, move 3, range 3, and poison. Now this is a very good summon for a character that has a very good deck. I think that this is probably one of the best summons in the game. You could make an argument that it's better than Unicorn because it doesn't actually get itself into trouble very much. It's got range 3, which is great. The move 3 means that it can keep up. You don't really need to worry about moving this thing. 5 health means that it could, weather an attack if it just somehow gets attacked for whatever reason. The poison is super useful for you as the Doomstalker, but also just for the entire team. You're pretty confident it's better than the Unicorn. Range is so important for summons. Yeah, I mean, in terms of if you just want to play a summon and not worry about it, which is what this character wants to do, right? This character's all just about damage, just about DPS. That's all this character cares about. And this just adds, an additional attack 3 and poison every single round to your damage that you're contributing to the team at a safe range. And I think that that's pretty big. The bottom is Doom. Place your character token on any one enemy. You and all allies add +X attack to all your attacks targeting this enemy, where X is the difference between the range of the attack and the number of hexes to the enemy. So this is a bit of a weird one. It's much better for you than it is for anybody else, really, because you have these big range attacks, right? You have like a range 5 attack and you're attacking it and it's only range 2 away. That adds an additional +3 for your attack. But a lot of your allies are probably going to be attacking at max range, or maybe this might add 1 damage. It's not huge. So compared to some of your other Dooms, it's a pretty underwhelming Doom in my opinion. It sounds like it could be a lot, but actually in principle, once you start playing with it, I don't think it actually adds that much. I think you're pretty happy just to play Race to the Grave or Rain of Arrows instead. But I think the summon is probably the best summon in the game. So I think it's probably got to be a solid A here. It's probably better than the Unicorn, but this is an amazing action. I mean, the bottom is pretty bad, so maybe it should drop down into B. Yeah, I'm thinking B. It's like top of B. This is a better summon, I think, but this has just really good use on the bottom here. This bottom is not that great, really. Lead to Slaughter. So attack 4, range 6. Force the target to move up to 3 hexes directly towards the closest hex adjacent to one of your allies. Obviously, you can make things trigger traps with this. That sure has a lot of text. Those are your thoughts. Yeah, like the first time I read this card, I felt like it was just a bit odd. Like it's just a bit odd. Enhanced with Disarm. Makes every card S tier, right? The bottom is move 3, transfer all active dooms from their current target to an enemy within range 4 of you. Again, see, like this only works obviously with the Doomstalker. Only works with that Doomstalker build, and it is good card for that build. I feel like this is a pretty meh card. See? I'm actually feeling like more like down with D. You would like it much better if it would just force the enemy to perform a move 2 with you controlling action. Yeah, me too. It feels like they've almost tried to be a little bit too creative with it, which then ends up to it being so like wordy and weird that a lot of players are just going to probably avoid it. The bottom action is great for that build. You just don't like that build very much. Yeah, I think it's fair. In my opinion, it's the weaker of the two builds. D. That might be slightly controversial, but I'm going D. I actually thought that might rank a bit higher, but the more I thought about it, I don't think so. Mass Extinction. A unlimited range curse. Chat. What do we think about that? Unlimited range curse and wound. It does target all your allies, though. How to make friends. Yeah. Your team will love you if you play this card. So this particular character can really exploit this to like a crazy level. It's not a super fast way of winning, but this character can almost lock the enemy out of playing entirely at times. And that's pretty broken. Like, that's S tier worthy. Like, this character, max build, is probably S tier worthy because they have the potential to completely lock out the enemies. The bottom is all enemies with poison suffer 2 damage, consume air to get an additional 1, consume dark to get an additional 1. So potentially up to 4 damage to all enemies with poison. Again, no range. And you can poison enemies very easily with this character. Does this card break the game though, chat? That's what we like. I'm already feeling like this is an A tier card, but does it break the game? Does it break the game? Does it get into S tier? Judging from a typical campaign play, you think it's A. So let's say you're playing 4-player and an average scenario, maybe you'll start, there'll be 5 or 6 enemies. That's like 6 enemies. Curses on all of your guys, wounds on all your guys. I mean, the thing is that you can kind of mitigate the wounds. The wound's not that much of a downside for your allies. You can kind of get rid of that. That's not so much of a problem. The curse, though, certain allies will really hate you for that. They will really hate you for that. It's S tier if you include the context of having the level card out. Yeah, I think I would agree with that, Camper. For me, like, this character with that build is S tier. Like, if you were to take all of the cards together, this character has an S tier build. You can see some folks not wanting to get cursed repeatedly, so then it's just a bottom action. Well, the bottom action is really strong too. Is it spammable? It would not surprise me if someone went turn 1, mass extinction, stamina potion, mass extinction again. I think it's S tier. It's on the lower end of S tier, but I think it's S tier. Yeah, so Convert the Flock is attack 4, range 3, target 3 with curse, 2 XP, and it's a burn. I mean, that's pretty bad. It's not a bad attack, but this is the kind of thing you'd expect to maybe see like at level 4, level 5, in my opinion. The bottom, though, is all allies with poison suffer 2 damage. For each 2 allies damage, add +1 to all of your attacks this round and gain 1 XP. Ugh. For each 2 allies damage, you have to have a minimum of 2. The bottom of this card is unplayable at 2-player unless you have summons. It's unplayable. Wow, that's pretty bad. This card needs a tear in 2 symbol. F, terrible. Gross, burn it with fire. It's not great, is it? Is it worse than Pulverize? Pulverize could do more damage, but this has got 3 curses and it's ranged. You have to set up your allies getting poisoned first, then damage them, or +1 attack. Yeah, the setup is ridiculous. I mean, I think that you could probably break it with something like You know, we have a couple of like big AoEs, right? This character does have a couple of big AoEs. So I can see why they would want to rein back on here, have all of the damage. But you're level 9. Just let the, let the reins off, you know? So Tribal Sigil. We're on to the Beast Tyrant. Summon Spirit Banner. A health. No move, no attack, no range. But this says all adjacent allies add +2 attack to all of their attacks. I'll be interested in like what you guys are going to say about this one. Bad. Trash. Okay. People don't like this card. People do not like this card. What if I was to tell you... what if I was to tell you that they created a Frosthaven character specifically based around this summon? What? It's so good. They created a character specifically around this mechanic. And they made it a level 1 card. No, it's not level 1, I don't think, is it? Banner of Courage? I think the problem with it is that, like as people said, it's really inflexible. You have to either put it in the right place. Certain scenarios where you don't move a lot, and maybe it's like a wave type scenario. Enemies are coming towards you. You need to survive. So actually in digital, in some of the survive missions, you could maybe argue that this could have a place. You also can move stuff around. You can move it, chat. It can be moved. It has no move, but you can move it. There are ways to move it. You'd argue the card is unplayable. It's verging on it. We haven't got to the bottom, which is the best part of this card. If you thought I didn't like Interplanar Mastery, chat, how about we make it even more restrictive? How about we print the same thing, but instead of letting players choose any of their cards, to be fair, the summon cards have all your best actions. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm being a bit facetious, like intentionally, but yes, I don't like, apart from maybe reviving Ether because I feel like it's like a big deal, and unending dominance because it's a good value trade. I just generally don't like this whole trade 1 card, get 2 cards back. Yay! I don't like that exchange. We at F tier. I mean, if you have a look, it's not too dissimilar to this, right? Not too dissimilar to this. Like a buff that's just awkward and kind of bad. I think this might be the worst card so far. So, kill 1 adjacent normal enemy whose current hit point value is equal to or less than 6. That's a command, so that's your bear, right? So 48 initiative, and the bottom is command, attack 2, push 3, move 3, attack 2. Again, with your bear.
A little bit spicy.
A bit spicy. You think I mean attack 5, move 3, attack 5? Yes. So with concentrated rage, this is big. Really big. I think the top has some use, and the bottom with concentrated rage is actually incredible. Low A's. I like that. I like the idea of it being like around here, maybe top of B. It's a very flexible card. You can usually find, either the bottom to be played or the top to be played, right? You're going to find a good use for it. I do think it's on the low end of A, though. Cobra and Grizzly Trauma seem comparable to Jaws. I think it should be in B. That's my feeling, too. My feeling is that this card is more similar to these 2 cards than it is to these 2 cards. That's my feeling. Let's leave it around there. Base Gloomhaven done, all right? Base Gloomhaven done. Forgotten Circles, then Jaws. There are 2 mechanics that this character has. If you're not aware, chat, this is the expansion character, the Rift token style build, where you place these little Rift tokens out and you interact with them in different ways. And then you have the kind of reordering build, which is to do with reordering attack modifier decks. So messing around with allies and enemies attack modifier decks. Attack 3, target all enemies within Rift 2 of the Rift token and model. So this is like a really solid attack, right? Also allowing you to just place a Rift token out. Getting Rift tokens out is good. And attack 3 at range 2 with model. It's not like broken levels, but it's certainly very solid. Summon Twilight Archon, which is a 9 health summon, 2 attack, 3 move with curse, and it creates either light or dark. How do we feel about this summon? I'm not a huge fan of it, mainly because of the fact that it's a melee. Melee summons. It's got the move 3, so it can keep up. But it's just going to get itself into trouble. The curse is nice, but it's not like... If this was ranged, it would just keep adding that value. But I feel like the number of curses this guy can get into the enemy's deck is not huge. What do we think about this card then? I think this is pretty damn solid. I mean, I do think you want to play the top. Is it A tier? It's like you get to do a mini unstable upheaval. Like when it's not on burn. I can get behind that. I can get behind that kind of action. Top feels like the payoff for having a great mod deck, not a lot of other attacks. Interesting. Really easy targeting too. Yeah. And you don't have to risk yourself, right? You don't have to get involved too much because this is within range 4 and then it's just range 2 of the token. I think I'm solid A with that one. Okay, wall of text time. Let's do it. Reveal the top 4 cards of all attack modifier decks. Then place any number of them on the bottom of their respective decks and the rest on top in any order. Consume either light or dark to reveal the top 6 cards instead. 1 XP. You think it's strong? There's a lot of value in advanced knowledge of the modifiers. It feels really boring to you though. So this is what I have a problem. I have a problem with this card because I think it just draws the game out too much, right? Gloomhaven is a game in which I enjoy it a lot because you can min-max. There's absolutely the ability to min-max. But you don't have to do that. And you can certainly do really, really well in the game by just sometimes going, do you know what? I'm just going to go for it. You know, I'm just going to do what and I'm just going to trust in the heart of the cards. And I'm just going to have a bit of fun. I'm going to bust down that door. I'm going to run in there. I'm going to do my big attack. And I'm going to hope I don't draw a load of misses. And I'm just going to do something fun. It's just not a level of the game I want to engage with. And that's maybe just me. But it's just not a level of the game I'm interested in engaging with. Certain people absolutely love this class and love to do it. But for me, I'm like, dude, just put them back in any order. I'm sure we can deal with it. Like, I don't find the game hard enough to have to min-max it that much, personally. So I don't really enjoy the concept of doing it. So the bottom of this card is, I think, maybe a little bit more interesting. I like the concept of this one, which is search any non-boss enemy ability deck for a card of your choice and remove it from that deck for the remainder of the scenario. Such the same deck for a second one, remove it as well. This, I think, is, like, actually, like, kind of cool. Just being able to get rid of, like, summon actions, potentially. Disarm actions. You know, night demons going invisible. See you later. Never happening again, right? I do thematically like where it is and what it does. I think it's interesting. I'm sitting around somewhere around C tier. I feel like it's in the same school as Chimeric Formula. You know, the top is at least something that you're happy to play all the time. I think the thing with Chimeric Formula is the top is not something that you're happy to play all the time. But Hand of Destiny is like, yeah, sure, I'll play the top of Hand of Destiny. Why not? So I feel like it's maybe B, but I don't know if I can put it in with B because there's some really like good stuff in B, in my opinion. It's a great card when I run into the next room. You're too far away to get close enough to attack. Yeah, that's true. You like C? It's the ultimate ooze killer. Isn't it their shuffle though, Campat? Is it their shuffle? So you can take out one of them. Yeah, so you just can't take out both shuffles, basically. Because that would lock the enemy out of the game, right? So you could take out one, yeah. Alright, there's some good stuff you can get rid of. Okay. All right. You've convinced me. Let's move it up one. I have to like trust you guys a bit more on this one. Because I say, I can't think of anything worse than playing this card personally. I've been playing a Fisher every day for me. But I can appreciate that in the right hands, it could be quite good. Right. Jaws of the Lion. So this is the Demolitionist. Destroy one adjacent obstacle or objective. If you do, gain 1 XP and perform attack 4, push 2. Target all enemies adjacent to the destroyed obstacle or objective. Consume Earth for a +2 attack. And this is a burn. I'm getting flashbacks to Pulverize, chat. There are some interesting uses for this in the campaign. Yeah, I do think in the context of the campaign, one thing I think we have to be a little bit careful with these ones. Same with the Forgotten Circles one, right? We have to be a little bit different because like our measuring stick is going to be a bit different. Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, all of these games are designed to be mixed and matched, but they're mixed and matched in the sense that they use the same mechanics. They have the same card design. You can just go off and play, right? There's no changes to the gameplay mechanics, but the characters may be suited differently. 15 initiative, move 2, destroy 1 adjacent obstacle. If you do, gain 1 XP, and all enemies in the same room as the destroyed obstacle suffer 2 damage. Well, that's not bad, but again, kind of situational. But the crack heart in this character, they'll just have so much fun together. 24 damage with Earth is fine for a burn. Well, the thing is, though, is I feel like this is very like level 2, level 3 for a lot of other characters. Maybe for a burn, it's a very big all-in attack that just doesn't. It's quite situational to make good as well. I like this, but the fact is, though, is sometimes you want to keep the obstacles right. So maybe certain scenarios, this might not do a lot. This might be a real dead card. Some scenarios it might just end up being a 15 initiative, move 2. You think it's C? No, I don't know how it's any better than like Rat King or Lead to Slaughter. It's the same as this. No way. I don't think it's C. I don't think it could be in the same category as some of these. This is just like, this is a more annoying rumbling advance. Thing is, you're not always going to have an obstacle. By the way, I'm moving Chimeric Formula down to D as well. I've had enough. I keep looking at Chimeric Formula thinking, why is this card not in D? All right. I've moved it up to C. That's where we have to be. Okay. Wholesale Destruction. Attack 2. Attack 2. Move 2. Attack 3. Consume fire to make that an attack 4 with wound. Well, if you have a good deck, then this is certainly very good. And it's a non-burn. Like, why would you take the other card? Damn. Yeah. The bottom is you may perform any destroy obstacle ability as if one empty hex within range of the ability contains an obstacle. Oh, wow. Well, this just breaks this character right open, right? Suddenly it's like, hallelujah. I don't have to worry about all of that obstacle stuff. It's a non-burn and it's a non-burn and but it's a permanent. What? So you can just choose to discard this? Dude, this is OP. Yeah, this is great. Add the level 7 card persistent to the top of this card. But that's a loss, though. I mean, I like it in combination with that. That's a lot of damage. Huge amounts of damage. I mean, for the character, this unlocks so much potential. With a good deck as well, it's a strong attack. This is as good as Jaws of Death. For sure. This is A tier, right? Stop. Hatchet time. Heartseeker. Attack 4. Range 4. Stun. Consume air. Wound. We've got stun shot, chat. We've got an upgraded stun shot. Top action has to be at least a B. Yeah, I think the top action is good. The bottom action, I think, is pretty underwhelming. I don't think you're ever really playing the bottom. Doing this to an elite is quite nice, right? Chuck the favorite on them. Do this. Attack them for 7. Stun them. Wound them. That's pretty nice on an elite. That's a good start. I don't rate the bottom of this card, though. But I think the top is just very solid. I don't think it's quite good enough to go into A tier. I think B is probably about right. Executioner's Axe. One adjacent normal or elite enemy suffers 12 damage. the first draft of Bane we have right here. Right? This is first draft of Bane. This is better than Bane because it does 12 instead of 10. And it also kills them. I mean, it does the damage immediately rather than at the end of their turn. The bottom, if you killed an enemy this round, return your favorite token to its card and gain 1 XP. Is it me or does this feel like this should be a passive? Like a persistent ability? That's what it feels like. It feels like this should be like, oh, play it around. Like, sad times. So yes, you can kill something that isn't the favorite, but then you get the token back, which I suppose you could just play again. I suppose that's no skin off your back, you know. That's not really costing you anything because you can just add it to the next action. I suppose it's okay actually, because you didn't really mind. You could just have it back and then you have a bit more flexibility. Okay, actually, I mean, it's okay. D tier, I'm moving towards that. It does facilitate the character quite well, but it's quite underwhelming, really. Yeah, both these cards are pretty underwhelming. I imagine most people will go for Heartseeker just because the top's like I see stun, I pick card. So red guard, attack 5, range 2, consume fire to get +1 attack, +2 range. All enemies adjacent to the target suffer 1 damage. That's a lot of text. Consume light to get an additional +1 damage, advantage, and muddle. It's massive boulder, but kind of supercharged. It's an attack 7 with range 4, potentially. That's pretty decent. With advantage, it's not as good as, you know, brutal momentum, obviously, but it's pretty damn good. The bottom is consume light to move 3. All adjacent enemies suffer. That's really good, though. 89 initiative kind of bums you out on this card, though, right? It's probably between A and B. Is it better than Heartseeker? I think it probably is. Not quite A, you think? B tier. We reckon it's B. Everyone's saying B. Not quite A. I feel like it's around here, though. All right. Sounds good. So we have move 3 with jump. Attack 4. Target all adjacent enemies. Stun. But it is a burn. Create fire. 1 XP. 11 initiative. So that's very strong for this kind of thing. I mean, I feel like the top here is a pretty decent repositioning effect with a stun. Like, this is a good get out of jail type card. Like, I don't mind these. Things are going badly. I'm just going to do this, right? And it kind of gets you out of a bind, maybe. So the bottom is really the combo, though, right? For the shield spike. So move 3, jump, shield 2, consume air for an additional shield. With shield spike, that's pretty crazy. Each time an enemy adjacent attacks you, that suffers damage with your shield value. Shield up for 3. Shield up for 4. Immobilize them all so they can't move away. Is this downright busted, though? I don't know. But you've got like a really good combo like piece for this character, but also just on any character. It's a very strong tanking ability, full stop. This has got to be A tier. It's pretty high A tier, I think. It's probably the best tanking card we've seen, I would say. All right, last one, chat. Last one. Possessed by Fate. Attack 2, range 2, target 3, poison, wound, consume dark to add curse. Poison, wound, and curse on 3 things. This range 2 sucks. Oh, man. Why'd you have to give it range 2? I suppose you could always get a helm or a telescope. Yeah, I guess. So the bottom is 1 ally within range 3 may perform an attack 8, range 3, can consume frost for stun. If they do, gain 1 XP, and this ally gains poison. That's probably pretty weak, to be honest. The top's good. The bottom is pretty weak. Although, maybe just having a stun in your back pocket isn't a bad thing. This is the class you're playing towards line. You would rarely be close enough to hit more than 1 enemy with the top action. Your move speed is terrible. The bottom is great, but a burn. In theory, if you could reliably do it, though, it could be pretty... Well, it's pretty damn good. I don't feel like... I think, like, Heartseeker is better in many ways. But this could be quite good. Good cursing. And this bottom, I think, is actually maybe pretty usable in a certain spot, whereas this bottom is, I'd argue, pretty unplayable. Really? Maybe a C. What do we think? C or D? Or personally a C? You're not going to argue against a B or a D. Well, a lot of people are saying C. Let's put it in C. I have the Void. Poison, range 4, create dark. Force all other enemies within range 3 of the target to perform an attack 2, range 3, targeting that target. Against a boss, this is pretty cool. Yeah, boss killer. Yeah, for sure. But then they may be immune to the poison, right? I guess. So when you grant monsters attacks, they use your attack modifier. Right. Got you. That's pretty nice, but I don't think it's anything great. It'd be interesting if this was a lower attack value, but wasn't a burn. Maybe it'd be a bit more powerful. A 19 initiative is good. And then the bottom is move 2. All allies and enemies within range 3 suffer 1 damage. Strengthen, target all allies within range 3. That's pretty meh as well, to be honest. Not a huge fan of these level 9s for this character. Feels worse than other classes' level 9 cards. I think I would tend to agree. The class itself is pretty bad in your opinion, but you do like this card better than the other. Really? Now, I would just assume that the top of Possessed by Fate is just better in every way. It just feels really weird to me to put a card like this in the D tier. Like, it has all of the right words written on it. Just not quite the right values. Are we doing it like this then? Because I don't think I can really let... Is this where we are? That feels fair. Okay. That's everything. Took a lot longer than I thought it was going to. We've gone long tonight, but it was worth it, I think. So there we have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tier list. It's a bit of fun. It was an abridged version. I say it was a 5-hour long stream. It took us a long time to go through all of these cards together, and I think we did a decent job in the end. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and make sure to let me know in the comments down below if you think we got anything terribly wrong. But I think we did a pretty good job in the end. Maybe a little bit harsh on some characters, but, you know, we all have our favorites, right? If you do want to check out the completely unedited version of the stream, then just check the description down below for an unlisted video, which does have the entire length of the stream, just completely uploaded in earnest, no editing. You can just watch the entire thing if you want to. As always, if you did enjoy it, do consider tossing the video a like and subscribing. I really appreciate it. Or come over to twitch.tv/ManageryCrest every Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday, where I'm streaming Gloomhaven. You can always let me know what you thought about the list there, or of course, maybe be there live for a new list in the future. Okay, well then, all that's left for me to say is thank you again so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one. Bye.
I think still, yeah.
That's the blessing from Cam. That's the blessing from...
Isaac, at this point, can we get your approval to add an additional attack modifier deck for allies in the digital version?